Hello.
Hi, Miss Click. I'm here at the volleyball game, so I'm gonna leave my camera off and I'll be quiet. I'll
Oh,
just be
that
listening.
sounds so fun. Oh, how did the Star Spangled Banner go?
It went well.
Because one of my students was singing it.
Oh, yes, very good, very good.
Oh, good.
Very professional, very clear and crisp.
Wonderful. And then
Oh,
also, I know Jeremiah sang it last time.
yes, and Jeremiah is playing right now. Devin is playing. I know there's a couple other boys that are in counterpoints that are playing.
Comer, is he? I think he's in Counterpoints.
Yes, and is Will.
Yes, Will.
Yes. So they're all playing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just turn my camera off and go to mute so I'm not distracted. But just wanted to let you know I was here listening, and it's good to see your beautiful face.
Oh, well, it's so good to see you. And I want to get to a volleyball game soon. Hopefully, I can get to one maybe over spring break because,
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, I'll go ahead and mute until you need me.
okay. Hi, Mary. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Joyce. How are you?
Good. Now tell me, I'm trying to get,
Yes. Can you see my face or not?
no, but I can hear you. So
Okay.
now tell me, there.
I'm Ella. I'm Ella's mom, Ella Self.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, how are
So,
you?
so you are, I didn't think your name was Mary Hunt.
It's Libby. I go by Libby.
Oh, Libby. I was gonna say that's what threw me off because I
Yeah.
knew it was Libby.
It's good to
Miss
see
Click, I was
you.
gonna say the same thing. I'm like, that doesn't look like Mary. I thought her name was Libby.
I
Hi,
know.
Robin.
Good to see you.
You
It's so
too.
fun to see people. I've missed seeing people,
I know it.
but it's things are little by little getting back. Did you see that 16-year-olds and older are going to be eligible for vaccines starting what, next week?
Well, I saw something, but it didn't say the age. It just made it sound like it was getting lower and lower. That's
I
awesome.
I just saw something that I thought it said
March 31st.
okay, March 31st. Wow. All right. Let's see. Looking at the screen here. Hi, Mr. Ronick. How are you? Whoops, I'm not hearing you. Hello, we have the Rogers here.
Hello, Mrs. Click.
Good to see
Can you hear me now?
It's so good to see you.
I guess there's some other meetings tonight, but oh well.
Oh, well, this is the best one.
There we go.
Hi, Libby Hunt. I see you.
Hi, Ellen Rogers.
But it says you're Mary, and that is false.
I
I
know.
know she's tripping us up here.
Uh-huh.
And then we
Mrs. Smith,
have,
do you hear me now?
yes, I
hear you now.
great.
Okay, good.
And we have Mr.
Great.
Elroy.
House 4-year-old.
And we have Miss Oakferman. How are you doing?
Where is she? Oh, there she is. Hi, Julia.
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Good to see people. And then Michelle.
Well, there's Robin.
Hello.
Yes, Robin's at a volleyball game. Watching a lot of choir people play volleyball. And then let's see. I'm trying to see who else. Oh, we have the Neils here. Awesome. And we see Mr. McElroy. Okay, Tonya Cup. Tell me who your child is. I'm sorry.
Hi, it's Tanya Cup, and Helena is my daughter, Helena Cup.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thanks for coming.
Tanya.
We
Hey,
have
how are
all
you doing,
kinds
baby?
of
Tanya.
Hey.
fun. Very good. And let's see. And
Carrie
so-
Neal, call her out.
Yes. There she is. How are you? And then we have Mrs. Roth, Query Roth. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Oh, good. Now, when you went to North Central, we didn't have the contest then, did we?
We did I feel like my senior year we did.
Maybe that was the year it
Um,
started.
But yeah, oh no, not Mick. No, we didn't have Mick. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of just Isma. No,
Oh,
we did not
okay.
have Mick back in the day. I won't say how long ago that was for both your sake and mine, but
Yes,
um
since I was your teacher.
but yeah, no. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we have the Paynes here. Good. They're going to be advisors. And then let's see, Catherine Clements. Who is your child? Who would be Catherine Clements' child? Usually,
Mute. Catherine, you're on mute.
we're kind of keeping a list here. All right. And then we have Sherry Moore. Hi, Sherry. Can you hear me? It looked like you maybe froze. Let's see. Oh, she might be signing back on.
Joyce, sorry, I was muted there, but it's Catherine is Emily Barbas's mom.
Oh, okay. I knew the name. I just talked to Emily right at the end of the day. And we have Liz Munn. Okay. Great. And then Sheila. Who is your child, Sheila?
It's Ellen Howard.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Just putting a name with an adult name with a child's name. And then April Morgan. Tell us who your child is.
Des can't.
A desk.
Yeah, it's Maris. Maris.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. Thank you. See, it's been so long since I've seen. There we go. We got it typed in there. Well, thank you so much. And we have Mrs. Chapital. How are you doing? Are you good?
Doing fine. Yep. Hello.
Very good. So, Mrs. Payne, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Did you miss going around to all those drugstores and returning pop? I
God.
was thinking about
Don't say that. I don't want to relive that.
It's actually, in hindsight, kind of funny.
You got to do what you got to do.
Right. Okay. So let's see. I'm just trying to make sure everybody's welcome because it's awesome. Is there anybody we left out? Janice. Janice, could you introduce yourself and tell who your child is? Oh, I'm not hearing Janice. Maybe it's in the chat. Because it's okay. Yes, there Janice, if you want to go ahead and write in the chat who your child is. And that's great. Now we have several people who have said they want to help and they want to do they want to do their same jobs, but there's a junior and senior Zoom or a junior Zoom, some kind of other Zoom. Do you know what it is, Mrs. Rogers?
What?
There's some other Zooms today.
This is
I thought
Robin.
that the 9th and 10th grade thing was tonight, but I think that was last night. I missed that one.
It was I just was on the other Zoom meeting. It was the 11th grade and 12th grade, like scholarship
That's
and
what it
college
was.
stuff. Yeah. I listened to it till about 7. So
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is just kind of go through a little bit here and then we'll let some of the other directors and some of the chair people of various things jump in. And this is a kind of a preliminary meeting just to see the interest and who is available to, or who is willing to continue in doing some planning. I think we pretty much have welcomed everyone. And so what is the Mick Choral Competition fundraiser? So do you want to say something about what that's been, Mr. Ronick?
Sure. Yeah, well, the Mick Choral Competition, boy, I don't know the year that it started, but quite some time ago, I think even before Mrs. Click was working at North Central. Is that right, Mrs. Click?
Yes, I was at, I was there a long time ago, and then I was at Fox Hill.
Right.
Yes. It was, I think it, 23, Brian, do you remember what the program said?
Yeah, is that right?
Was it 23 years ago or 4? Something like that. Anyway.
Something like that. But it's basically just our show choir competition that we host, show choir and concert choir, in the recent past at least. And so we have groups from all over the state that come. We sometimes have as many, upwards of 30 schools are here, and tons of people in the building. And I think it's great that Mrs. Click has called it the Mick Choral Competition fundraiser on here, because I think the thing we like to talk about every year is just a reminder that our main purpose with this is, I always like to say our second most important goal is to have a great competition. And our first most important goal is to make sure that we're creating a good fundraiser that is going to raise some good money for the choirs. So, and we've been very successful at that in the past. So thank you to everybody who's done it in the past, and thank you in advance for those of you who are stepping up.
All right. So we do, of course, we seem to have challenges periodically, but because we're such positive people and creative people, there seems to always be a way to meet the challenges. So Mr. McElroy is going to tell you about a probable challenge for this coming year.
Yeah, a probable challenge is that the auditorium open date has been moved back to, I think, is it April or May now? I think maybe April, which is well past when our competition would normally be. So the auditorium, we are currently, all the performing arts is kind of all hands on deck, starting to pack up everything out of the auditorium and move everything out so that they can start that construction here basically right after the musical. They're going to start tearing down the auditorium. So, but for next year, that means that we are not going to have the auditorium. There are other alternatives for that I can let Mrs. Click talk about in just a minute, but plenty of competitions use like gyms or things like that. So we are currently kind of in the works on where, if we are to have Mick, where that would be. And I'll let Mrs. Click talk more about that, but that's a big change that we normally have it in the auditorium every year.
And it'll be so wonderful the following year when the brand new remodeled auditorium. Things get delayed as always with construction. And so we just are thinking positive. Some of the ways, and I've been in conversation with Lawrence Central and also Brownsburg, as far as what they did when they had renovations. And in fact, they still use their gyms, but they added events on Friday. They eliminated finals. They did different routing. They used their gym. For solos, they used various classrooms. They use their small auditorium in combination with the gym. Some schools have even just done like the small school class, which you can have a lot of participation if you do a small school class, and it makes the groups a little bit smaller so that you can manage the crowds. I mean, these are just some ideas. Some people have done clinics. There was, I think, Pendleton, was it Pendleton or Lebanon? When they were renovating, they did more of a clinic day, and they still made money. They sold concessions all day and sold food and had groups in and out, and they'd do a clinic, and they would, I guess, have social time, and they'd watch each other and critique each other and listen to critiques. So there are a lot of alternatives to scale down that still, and you probably don't make quite the money, but the advantage for that is you build community, you keep your date on the calendar, you keep it in the forefront that you're still doing competitions, and also you have memory for your volunteers. And I guess my big concern, is why that, at least me personally, think it would be good to have something this coming year, is because we've already missed 1 year. And a lot of you have the memory, but in another year, a lot of you will be gone after next year. Or some of you are coming back just to help next year because you want to keep it going. But who knows, 2 years from now, if you'll still be interested. So there's so much routine and training that goes on from our volunteers that's why it would be great if we can work it out to have some type of event. So here, are just the things that I talked about. And do any of you as parents have anything you want to add or any opinions on that? Because you're the ones that really run it and you make it possible.
Mr.
So
Rogers.
Rogers?
Yeah. So what's the construction schedule say? So is it going to take a full year to remodel because I know they're going to dig an orchestra pit. There's a lot of work, but it really won't be done by January, February?
So what they've told us so far is to plan that we will not have the auditorium until after spring break. That's what they've told us. And I think the other thing that's going to be, honestly, I think the bigger challenge is all of the different, because that's not the only construction that's happening at North Central, and there may be other parts of the building that will be inaccessible from a homeroom perspective and a hallway perspective. Like I was just discussing it with Rick Granlund today, and he said that there's going to be a temporary hallway. So for instance, if you're coming from the cafeteria, you will not be able to get to Mrs. Click's room down K Hall from the cafeteria. You'll have to go around through the student center and around past my room and the theater room and then go around the other way. So we're going to be operating under that for a while. So there's going to be a lot of operational challenges that we'll have to figure out.
And I know that the directors at LC in Brownsburg, they told about that too. But it was interesting because I'm finding out that there are a number of schools who have like portable stages, portable setups, portable lighting systems that they went ahead and developed during these situations, and that they are willing to rent those out at nominal fees. So that's kind of, I know LC has a stage, and Pendleton has the lighting system, and another school has like the backdrops, the curtains that you have to have if you're in the gym. So it seems like there are a lot of schools who are willing to share their knowledge of how to overcome a construction year. So that's a good thing to know.
There's also some ideas in the chat that are worth talking about as well. So we've talked about Northview. Northview is a little bit of a struggle because it only has one entrance in and out. And so it doesn't, normally with the show choir, you go in one way and go out the other way. So there's not a backlog of traffic, and there's not a great traffic pattern to get in and out of Northview. We're still kind of considering that. And then we've also talked about maybe using Butler and stuff like that. I was at Butler for school 2 years ago, and to rent Clues is like 10 to 15 grand, I think, for a day or two. So that would eat up really into the expenses there. So don't know if that's an option or not, but things that we are considering as well.
Okay. If you have particular ideas, be sure, yes, we see some in the chat because, we're willing to explore all the different ideas. And now, as far as the sound, it's never as good in the gym, but I know that there are schools that have made it work. And I know if other schools can do it, North Central can too as well. So, but that is a very good point. So you have to have sound system as well. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Yes. Question about the traffic pattern. I know they have a committee working on that as far as what a school committee about how they will start the renovation. Yeah, there's lots of good ideas here too.
Yeah, I think, and as people are thinking of solutions, I think the big thing to consider is not just a performance space, but also all of the storage space and homeroom space that is needed to run this. So like I saw some people mention St. Luke's Church, and I think we might be able to make it work in their sanctuary, but I don't think they would have the space to house all of the different people in the classrooms, et cetera. And similar things about when we think about like, can we do it at Shortridge or Broad Ripple? Like these might be possible, but we just have to think about that we would have to rent the entire school, not just the auditorium. And so that's a big deal. We really appreciate everybody's thoughts, just trying to, make sure that we're clear about what we're talking about.
All right. Does anyone else want to? Okay, Mr. Rogers, I see.
Sorry to keep.
You can just speak up. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry. So this event, I'm the president of the choir, the parent organization, and I'm always thinking about dollars and cents, and it's a fundraiser. But then I started hearing about all additional. I mean, if schools are going to donate those things, that's great. But there's going to be a lot more cost to it, and that's concerning, no doubt about it. So we got to really think about that. And nobody loves doing MIC more than me. I just think the energy is awesome and the kids have a great time. But it's not, it's not a break even kind of a thing. It's
Right.
it's kind of what launches our balance sheet. Gives it life at the end of the year. And so that's important. And maybe there's some alternatives of other things that. And I'm not saying let's not do it. I'm just saying, is there another way to raise money that involves the choirs performing, whether it's some sort of an event, like a gala or whatever, it would be. Again, I'm just kind of throwing things out there. So just, when it comes time to really decide what's going to happen here, I just think we don't want to just break even, so.
Right. And I know that was the concern that I had when I was talking back and forth with Milo at Lawrence Central. And he said, as far as some of the things that you use for your gym, they've been able to make it, so it's not a ton of money, but then there's other things you have to look at too. So you want to make sure you make enough money that it's worth the while of everyone. But yes, it doesn't have to be a traditional contest. It could be, again, like we said, it could be another type of event where you can invite choirs in to perform. So keep your ideas. Anyone else have anything that they wish to talk about related to that? And if you have an idea, just write it in the chat, because there's all kinds of ways that we can make this work. Because the two biggest ticket items, your entry fees, your three biggest things, your tickets that you sell, the entry fees for the guests, and then your concessions. So you could have that for a clinic, a festival. You could still have those kinds of ways of making money.
Yeah, that's a good, I'm in agreement with, and I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers, I didn't catch your first name. Is it Steve?
Scott.
Scott, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Scott, I would agree to keep an eye on the bottom line, because the clinic sounds amazing, but then I wonder, if you don't have spectators, do you not earn the same amount of money, or or do you do some kind of clinic has end performances, or a performances that happen during a part of the day with a clinic during the other part? Because I feel like the clinic could be really interesting for kids who are usually just coming through and they're doing what they do every place they go, rather than leaving learning something new, which sounds It's really compelling to me, but I agree we need to keep our eye on the bottom line.
Yes. Do you want to address anything about a clinic or a festival? Any of the other directors? Have you been to events where there've been clinics that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've done some clinic things over the years, and I think that, the point is valid that it's not the same kind of like, hang all day and sell lots of concessions to everybody's families and stuff. But I also think that perhaps, we just need to think about what all of our goals are. And perhaps there's a common ground, and maybe we're thinking of two things that are going to accomplish what MIC normally does. Like maybe there is a clinic type of event that accomplishes our concern about making sure that we're still inviting people to North Central, so that the choirs are still connected. But then we also think about a separate sort of fundraising focused event, obviously not that I want to lose money on a clinic thing, like hopefully it would make some money, but maybe there'd be some, I think we just need to think every which way on this. I think, we all need to think about how we can do something that, is as similar to what we normally do, and then think about the most different thing we can think of that would also raise $30,000, and then everything in between,
Yeah.
I think that's where we have to be right now.
I wonder if we could, I love the idea of some kind of clinic thing. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, it seems like we kind of need to, in terms of the budget, it would be, if we could like spend the least amount of money so that we could capitalize on whatever we profit from. If we could stay, home, but in a different venue, maybe we could somehow have the clinic part during the day that culminates in a big show at night that we could then charge. That's where the participants would come in, or like, you'd have parents would come to see that at the end or something. And maybe even if it was that, we could have that at Northview or in the Jammer. I mean, so that we could capitalize on doing something cool. And yet we're really good thinking about things outside the box, Mike. We've had a really big year this year, considering.
The whole year has been that way.
I know, I may be done though. I may be done.
So these are great ideas. And, you can also think of the types of groups that you invite. I mean, you also could have part of the day concert choir. You could have the concert choirs, always can be in the PAC. The middle schools can always be in the PAC. And then for the show choirs, you would just need the bigger venue, and you could have simultaneous events, providing we could get the space and would have the space for the homerooms. And you wouldn't have maybe some of the same expenses if you're not giving out trophies. Then the other question is, will people come if they don't get a trophy? I don't know. These are all ideas that we'll just be thinking about. This is so great. So just everything you think about, write it down. I know that like the band they have a silent auction, and some people say that's for all the work that it is. Is it worth it? But I mean, there's just different things that you can think of that maybe you could put with the event. Some type of fundraiser that could go with the event would be great too. Okay, so some of the, even though we don't know exactly what we're going to have, we are going to talk about just some of the positions that we have used, and that no matter what we would have, we would need people to fill these positions. Even if the event was modified, and maybe we can't really get volunteers, but at least we can get some interest. If there are people here, I know there's some people that are happy to continue helping with what they've been doing. So one thing are the people of the event. They led the meetings, and they helped find some of the volunteers, not all the volunteers, but some of the committee chairs. And also then the day of the event, they were kind of the troubleshooters and made sure that everything kind of ran on time. And of course, both of them have moved on. And so that is one that would be a really key position. If someone here at this meeting thinks that they would be interested in maybe even being on kind of a little committee, wouldn't have to just be 2 people, maybe a little group of people to kind of start working on this. So be thinking of that. And that is open. And I don't know, Mr. Stanek, are you willing? I know your son's graduating. Are you willing in the interim until someone comes forward to send out the emails and kind of communicate for now?
Yeah, I can help out for this coming Mick.
Okay. And so then what we need is someone to train and kind of take over some of those duties, because it doesn't seem like it'd be a lot, but it's actually quite a bit. So keeping minutes, keeping track of who attends, and then also working with the schedule. And Mr. Stanek, depending on what we have, he did design software that's helping quite a bit in putting that schedule together. So that'll be a big plus for whoever takes that. And now these are things, obviously we wouldn't need auditorium doors, but is Jennifer here? Would she still be here, or is her son a senior? We don't know. I haven't heard from her.
He was a senior this year.
Yeah, but some of the people who have senior kids are willing to volunteer. So, and that, of course, we wouldn't have auditorium, but it could be, another role. But I'm just kind of going through awards, trophies, advertising.
Yeah,
Yeah, and go ahead and talk about this, because no matter what we do, we'll need to sell ads probably.
I was gonna say Kim's on awards and trophies. I do the advertising for the program.
You want to tell a little bit about what you two did, just so people have an idea of what a committee chair does.
Well, I think we did 2 different things. So Kim, I'll go first.
Sure.
I did the advertising for the programs, and essentially we have a whole database of previous people who have bought ads and ads that they've purchased, and what I'm doing starting earlier in the year. This is like definitely before, well before MIC happens, reaching out to those people and those companies and seeing if they're willing to sponsor an ad. And then there's a series of follow-ups and trying to make sure that they know, that I'm from North Central. Usually it helps if I copy Joyce's name on those emails, because then they get opened right away. But basically just trying to sell all those ads that go in the program. And it's, I don't know where it falls in the range of fundraising, but I feel like it makes a decent chunk for the program, for MIC each year.
It does. And so whatever event we come up with, that's always good to have some kind of program and sell ads or sponsorships. It really wouldn't matter what it was. And then we know that we're going to need, whatever we have, something with food or concessions, because that is probably your biggest fundraiser. And Betsy said she would be an advisor. She couldn't be the chair. So if there's anybody who is especially interested in food related, and the same way, do you want to talk about it? You know about the cafeteria and concessions and things. Mrs. Payne, could you go ahead and talk about it, Kim?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit involved with the concessions and the food in the cafeteria. But it's easy to learn. I mean, anybody can do it. We just need to kind of train you. I'd be willing to help out next year just to make sure everybody's on course. I don't know anything about the cafeteria, but Betsy, I'm sure, can help out on that. But it's just getting the food prepared, knowing what's going to be able to be served or what's available, getting what you're wanting for concessions. So there's just, it's all related to getting what food is in order for the whole day.
All right. And equipment, I don't see the Ramels here, but do you want to talk about, and that's another challenge about the equipment, Mr. Ronick, when you have some kind of an event that requires show choir?
Yeah, so when we do show choir, I mean, for any of you that are new, there's a lot of, I don't know, crap would be the word I would use for things that people, including us, have to bring with us to do show choir. So at a minimum, you got people with all their equipment for their band. But many of the times, you know, like us, we have light towers when we go. Other schools have that as well. Nowadays, we have people with screens or just large, you know, we had somebody bring like a whole boat one time. They made a, you know, so there's all kinds of stuff. And we have to find places to put it. So in a normal year, we store them all in the hallways on the lower level of the school, sort of over by the art rooms primarily. And so the people running equipment are just making sure that we're keeping good traffic flow back there, making sure that everybody's stuff is where it's supposed to be and that they have access to it when they need it. So it's kind of like if everything's going well, you don't really have to do much, and then all of a sudden you have to do a lot, you know, is kind of how it goes. But it's mostly just keeping things organized back there and helping people load in and load out, etc.
Okay, and then Libby, do you want to talk about this? And again, you could still do something similar no matter what kind of event you have. So, and this is actually a pretty good fundraiser. And I think they also had the People's Choice Award too. And that added some extra money. So you want to talk about it, Libby?
So Kenda just so sweetly roped me into this position. So this is new to me. I just volunteered for like a 30-minute shift last year. But I did get a friend, Brenda Dalton, Evie Dalton's mom, who's a descant as well as Ella. And yeah, she said she'd be interested in helping out too. But I do know, like you said, that it definitely brings in some money. And as to how it would be laid out in a different kind of environment, who knows, but we'll be thinking about that. So I don't have anything exactly, and Kenda's not on the call, so she'll be sort of phasing out and giving this over to me.
But she said she would be right at your side.
Yes,
to train you. Okay, so hospitality, if we do have and if invite other choirs, whether it's a gala, a festival, a clinic, or whatever we decide to do, we will need some type of hospitality. So I know that Katie is at another meeting, Emily's at another meeting. Robin, can you talk? Are you in a place you can talk? Because she's at the volleyball game.
Yes, I can talk, and I did put in the chat that I'd be happy to help in hospitality again. I'm happy to help wherever you need me, but I feel like I did that, and I was there like a 10-hour shift or 11-hour shift, so I feel like I at least have a good idea of what the expectation would be.
And they really work closely with the cafeteria and concessions as well. So
yes, that is correct. We worked hand in hand with cafeteria.
So that is kind of an area that, you know, would include the food. So that's an area that we will, of course, have to add to in whatever kind of event. And then, Ellen, you want to talk about, about some of the things that you did in the past?
Yep. Lost and Found info and publicity table is the best volunteer opportunity on the whole agenda. So it would be super great to have, you know, maybe a freshman or sophomore parent to join in this endeavor, because it's an easy one. And, you know, it's a good one. And basically we sit at a table and direct people to the various performing sites. We answer questions. We take Lost and Found. Unfortunately, since last MIC was like the weekend before the world shut down, I still have somebody's cell phone in my garage and some other Lost and Found items. So that's what we do. And it's super easy and super fun. So if somebody wants to train on that, it's a good one.
And then, of course, medical. And again, probably any event that has a big group of teenagers, you do need medical. There's never been anything real serious, but is there anybody who's worked in medical who would like to address it?
I have. I've done that for probably the last 5 years. And we tend to have 2-hour timeframes. We ask for volunteers to sign up. We'd like to have people who have some kind of a medical background. Typically parents will volunteer. Sometimes we get past parents who like to come back, doctors or nurses. And we just staff it. It's nice to have 2 people there. We get all of our wheelchairs ready because there's always an ankle or blisters or something that somebody needs a ride to the health center to get some ice. We tend to give out lots of ice and maybe some ibuprofen or Tylenol. A lot of kids like to have cough drops. We typically don't get anything too major. We have the EMTs right next door, so they are not exactly on site, but they're right next door and are literally can be to us within 3 minutes should we need to call 911 for anything. I think there was one year where someone forgot their EpiPen and they ate something that had a peanut in it, and they were here very quickly and managed it without too much commotion. So it's a pretty easy job. But we do like to have 2 people there, and we usually staff it 2 hours at a time.
So Janice, do you think you would be available if we are able to get some kind of event going next year?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll put you down. And Ingrid, well, it's been years since she's had anyone here, but she still comes and works. And so a lot of alumni work in that position, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it lets them get back in to see some of the shows. So, it's fun.
And then our program, Charlie has done it for years and years. And so he would kind of like to advise someone, maybe help somewhat, but he'd like to see someone else kind of take it over. Do you want to, Brian, talk about the MIC program just a little bit, since you helped proofread it?
Yeah, what he does is, I believe he has it in Adobe InDesign, and he comes up with the title page. Really, it's pretty simple. You come up with the title pages, and then you update the judges' biography, the choir biographies, images from there. The schedule gets printed into it, and then a map of locations, and then all of our ads, and a couple things about history, word search. I think that's most of the items in there. And then gets sent out for printing. So somebody who, it'd be helpful for somebody who knows how to lay out for the program for printing.
And our print shop does it, and they do a great job. And again, whether you had an auction or whatever you had, it would be great to have a program because you sell the programs and you also have the ads in it and the sponsorships. And it also has great information. And then the door monitors, and again, that would depend on what rooms we use, but the performance arts classroom, I know the Glores and then Judy Williams, they have said, they had another meeting tonight, but they said that whatever we have, they would be happy to coordinate that room for us and the setup and make sure it runs well. Room security, I don't see those individuals here as far as I know. They're still going to do it. Has anyone ever worked with that could address that? What, maybe Mr. McElroy, could you talk about the rooms and the room hosts and that kind of thing?
Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi is in and out, but basically they are the key masters for the day, and they let people in and out of their rooms throughout the day, before and after performances and everything like that, for the home rooms and everything like that. That's most of the responsibility. So they're kind of just on the hallways most of the day, letting people in and out of their rooms.
Okay, and then Mrs. Neal, do you want to talk about the school liaisons?
Sure, absolutely. I love the job, everything about it, except for how early in the day it begins, because we are some of the very first people in the school. There are kind of 2 main parts to the job. First of all, communicating beforehand with all of the choir directors, confirming their details, and most importantly, their arrival times. and then being there at the school bright and early on the day of, whatever it is we would do, whether it's a competition or a clinic or however we land, and kind of being those first faces who welcome the choir directors and the kids to the school. So it's a really fun job.
Okay, and we'll skip this area of technical because that would just depend on where we have it. The ticket sales is really a big job. Do we have anyone here who has worked ticket sales who could address that? Okay, do you want to, Mr. Ronick, talk about a little bit about the ticket sales?
Sure. Yeah, it's just kind of, it can be a little bit complex just managing. We're usually using wristbands, and you have to, we usually have daytime wristbands and finals wristbands and then full day wristbands. And so it's mostly about just keeping things organized. And then, the other thing is that obviously that's a spot where you're dealing with a lot of money changing hands. So then we're always trying to make sure we're following safe procedure with that and getting that money deposited into the folks that are keeping track of all of that. And we have regular trips to the safe and all that kind of stuff. So, but the big thing is just kind of, being there and being present and being a welcoming presence for people and making sure that, everybody's got everything organized the way that it needs to be.
And in the last few years, every year we increase our online sales, which is really awesome, because then you don't have to handle the money. So that's
right.
Something we hope that we can continue to increase in the future. And then, Michelle, do you want to talk about the treasury? Because I know you've helped Doug with that.
I know that there's different shifts. So Doug was a chair a couple years ago, and he was basically, it's like kind of in a hidden off room. And you have different shifts of runners that run from different stations to collect money or take change. Like they may go into the cafeteria or go to concessions and see if they need extra change, or they collect it so that large bills aren't kept there. So there's shifts that would be kept or needed throughout the day. I don't know what else I'm trying to think of all. That's what I did when I volunteered in there. And then they had different volunteers in the room, the treasury room, that's counting the money throughout the day.
And that way there's not money like in the big, huge amounts of money in the cafeteria or at the concession station, a flower station. So you don't have to worry so much about that. Now, Mrs. Chapitall, I think I kind of skipped you. If you would like to talk about the trophies and what your husband did for videos, I think
Sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so for the trophy sponsorships, basically, whatever we decide to do for trophies, we get companies, individuals, parents of current and former choir to sponsor those. So it's some organization and structure in the months leading up to, and then making sure when those all come in, that they're correct. And then on the day of, it's making sure that those trophies get to where they need to be distributed when they need to be distributed. Next year will be my last year. I've got younger kids, but they have zero interest in choir despite our attempts to try to get them interested in choir. So I'll be involved in other things that they're interested in. But the nice thing about the trophy sponsorship, it is a fairly, how do I say this? It doesn't require tons of meetings and coordination with other areas. So if you want to be involved, but can't commit to lots of coordinating meetings, it's something that you can learn and do fairly independently. So just a pitch for that. And then my husband has been doing for the past couple years, helping to coordinate the videotaping of the performances. And so that is, it's not a particularly difficult job, but time consuming. And most of there's usually other people that sign up for shifts, so we can cover multiple rooms. And then there's some of the students help with that as well. So it's just making sure that the performances get recorded for the judges. And I think it goes to the directors also. So that's my knowledge of his job as well.
Very good. And then Julia, oh my goodness, talk about what you did.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a very, it's not gonna, some of you are just gonna kind of roll your eyes, but I will say, I'm an editor by trade, so I deal with words. But I will say that everything that I know about spreadsheets and Excel, I learned putting together the volunteer program or the volunteer schedules for Mick. And it's really just a matter of coordinating with chairs and finding out, what they need in their areas, when when their hot spots are and when they don't maybe need as many people. And then sending out requests, usually via email to people, can you come, can you come? And then also working with students, because we try to get all the choir kids or as many of them involved as we can. And so just plugging everybody into a schedule, and then day of, I'm there at a table to tell people where they're supposed to be. And sometimes I have to call people and go, you're signed up to be here in 10 minutes and I don't see you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually, because you get to meet all those people that you've seen their name for years, but you never put a face to them. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good spot. And next year will be my last year. So I'll be looking for someone to take it over.
So you'll need somebody to work with you. So need a chair. And then the next thing, the timing and scoring, that isn't really a chairperson. That's just another job that actually we had alums, we had some Butler students, and then we had Lori Price. She wanted to get to see choirs for a change because she'd worked for years in volunteer. So she did a lot of time in the warm-up room. But that is just another opportunity, depending on what kind of event we have. Do you want to talk, Liz, about the judges liaison, or Michelle, or both of you, or whoever's here?
Either one. Michelle, did you want to talk?
I can talk, and if I miss anything, you can add. Judges liaison begins pretty much right after Christmas, working with the choir directors and getting the information to email to the judges and let them know the dates, times, just everything that will be coming up, thanking them for coming. You also are sending them emails about the different choirs that are coming. I'm trying to think of everything. You send them a parking pass, but then you, on the other token, you're also working with setting up the packets for the judges with score sheets and the music from each choir. Then the day of, you are greeting the judges as they come. Actually, the night before, you set up the judges' stations in the auditorium and in the judges' room where they eat their lunches or dinners and all their meals. Then the day of, you just spend the day working with them and making sure that they feel at home pretty much. You also have students that you work with that are judge runners, and they are running score sheets back and forth between the auditorium and the score room. And then you work with cart runners that are taking carts of snacks back and forth to the auditorium and to the PACs so that these judges have snacks and drinks provided for them throughout the day. Did I miss anything, Liz?
No, not at all. The only thing I wanted to add is I've got one person, maybe two, that are going to be kind of working with us to hopefully maybe, help out and step up and let us kind of share some information. But we're kind of looking for a freshman parent. So either a current freshman parent or even an incoming freshman parent. We want to get some people, because most of us are going to be done in a year or two. So we're looking for maybe a person or two to help that as maybe has a younger child that can maybe stick around and then kind of lead the way for the people coming behind. So let us know if you are interested in the position. It's pretty fun, actually.
Okay, so is there any job or anything else as far as some of the jobs from the past, Mick, that anybody would like to talk about? Because I may have skipped some. Or is there anybody here who's worked on a job that they want to share something about? Because I don't mean to leave anyone out. So we're seeing some people in the chat saying that they'd be interested in some of these jobs. So we want to make sure that we know who you are. So I don't know, Mr. McElroy or Mr. Ronick, are you seeing specific people, or are there people that want to take on some things? What are you seeing in the chat? I'm kind of looking at it too.
Well, I think what would be really great is any of these things that are written in the chat, we can save the chat and then respond. But I think if you are willing to send us an email, ideally to all three of us would be best, but any of us will forward it to each other. But if you're able to send us an email with things that, you know, might be up your alley, that you'd be willing to do. And I think we would appreciate emails both with that and then also with your creative ideas, because as we go through all these jobs, it's very likely that, you know, some of them may look a little different next year. So we'd be very interested in hearing your ideas, especially, I think, you know, focusing on the fundraising part of it. I think, you know, if we can figure out that piece, I think, you know, Mr. McElroy and Mrs. Click and I can work to figure out the connecting with the choirs piece. You know, we really understand that piece of it a lot. Not that we aren't interested in your ideas if you've got a great one or something that you've seen at another school, or all those kinds of things. But really, we would love, you know, if there's something that, you know, that is an idea for a monster fundraiser that, you know, we don't currently do, or, you know, doesn't especially happen in Washington Township right now. But, you know, maybe this is an opportunity for us to start a new tradition that we'll do for the next 23 years, in addition to the show choir competition in the future. So we want to hear all your ideas, in addition to your interest in helping us with all of these jobs.
So if you have any ideas, you can either write them in the chat, like Mr. Ronick said, email. If you know right now a job that you would like to be, you know, that you already are sure that you'd be interested. Let's say you really like to work with food. No matter what we have, we'll need food. And I see several people that said program. No matter what we do, we'll need some kind of a program, because we will need to promote our sponsors. So yes, and see several of you. And is there anybody right now that has any brainstorm of any kind of fundraiser? Because I know we're going to let you go in just a couple minutes. We always keep our meetings an hour or less. But is there anybody through the course of the meeting has thought of some things?
I'm
Go
thinking
ahead.
if we did the small space things, like either smaller performances or clinic, possibly also getting sponsors for spaces, where like maybe we'd have a banner for somebody, a business that sponsors an actual program, like the dance room sponsored by whatever, and that would be another way to sell sponsorships and have some larger banners for businesses to be advertised through.
That's a great idea. And that's something we really haven't done that much of in the past. So I think that's excellent. Anybody else with our last couple minutes? So what this was to kind of get our brains thinking and to also share some of the past traditions. I know there are quite a few people who've emailed that said they want to help, but they couldn't be at the meeting tonight. So you could start talking to your friends, because they may have ideas, and also talk to other choir parents and see if there are things that you find that they're interested in. Okay, Mr. Ronick or Mr. McElroy, do you have anything else to add before we close, or any parents have anything to add?
I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and coming on Zoom. It's great to see some faces we haven't seen in a little while.
Very fun. And Mr. Ronick, do you have anything to add?
I don't. I would reiterate that we just appreciate everybody being involved, and you know, we are excited to get back to some sort of normal and then have a new challenge to overcome here next year. So we really appreciate you helping us meet that challenge together.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful day today, just to see some additional new faces. And of course, we love our Zoom people too. And it's just kind of amazing that 1 year ago, and I think I speak for the other choir directors as well. I was honestly thinking that in my career I would never get to direct a choir again. I thought that that was absolutely a possibility because at that time we didn't know the infection rate. We didn't know the effects of aerosols. We didn't have the research. We didn't know when the vaccine would be out. And so I just am so grateful that all of your children are still singing. And even though it's been on Zoom for a lot of the year, and some of you are still on Zoom, it's just so great that they're still involved and that we are making music together. Not quite in the way we thought, but we are making music. And that in the very near future, everybody will be back together. So it's really, really exciting. So we just thank you so much for coming. And if you have anything else, I'll just leave this on for a while. You can write whatever you want in the chat, or if you want to ask any questions afterwards, or you're free to go. And thank you again. And we'll be having another meeting end of April. We'll know more information by then, either April or May. So thanks a lot.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
All right. I'll save the chat. And then
Yeah, just
I'll
go
start
through.
making
Robin Turner already emailed us, so that's good.
good. And I'll start making a list of the people that have emailed. I know some accent parents, some different ones. You know, I've sent emails and say they want to help, but they just couldn't come tonight. So now, what is it Mrs. Query, what is it you wanted to help with? I couldn't tell for sure. Oh, is she frozen? Oh, I can check with her then. I think she's, and then, yeah, Libby, you're good. Do you have any other ideas on anything?
I'm all good. I'm out of ideas, but we'll just start generating now.
Okay, you're so creative. All right.
Oh, goodness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. So do you think it went okay?
I think it's great. We'll just, oh, it looks like Jared's frozen too. Oh no, maybe he's coming back. I don't know.
My this computer is like, it wouldn't restart for like 5 minutes for some reason. I don't know what's going on with it.
Oh, great. Is it your new one?
Yeah, it's the new one. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I have to reset the PRAM and stuff like that on it, and maybe
Now,
that'll help.
did you get a new one from the district?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Well,
getting
a while ago.
Yeah.
A while ago, but.
I'm getting my new one supposedly tomorrow
Oh, exciting.
from my one
Yeah.
that died. So
Yeah, mine like it couldn't handle anything last semester, so they gave me a replacement. But yeah, craziness.
well,
I think it's good. I mean, there was a lot of people that were there excited, and you know, I mean, we're all talking
Yeah.
about these jobs. I don't know if those jobs are going to exist, but that's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
well, yeah, we'll figure out something. And you know,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is I was thinking our choirs need to perform. We need
Yeah.
to set it up a place for them to perform.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing that the MIC was always so good. It gave us a venue to perform and have an audience. So,
Right. An extra practice run for show choir season. Yeah.
yeah, you know that Milo had so many. He had a lot of tricks, and then he's got that stage already. That he.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize that they owned that.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Hmm.
And then Pendleton has the whole rest of their setup that they, you know, rent out. I would assume I didn't get prices. I didn't really have the time, but I would assume it would be cheaper than going to a real company is to rent
Oh,
it
for
from
sure.
another school.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, maybe we could do an exchange or something. But Milo, he's so great. And then Chad too. Chad has a whole bunch of ideas. So who knows? Maybe we'll come up with something. So okay, well, thanks a lot. I figure it's
Sounds
good
great.
to get people excited about something.
At least get them thinking about things. Yeah, most
Right.
definitely. Get them back involved and everything like that. So
Okay.
awesome.
Well, thanks a lot and have fun
Sounds
on
great.
your journey tomorrow to get this.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
My trek, my quest for tomorrow. It's gonna be a good
Yeah.
time.
And then
Let's do
and then our quest to set it up. That will be.
Oh
the
my
second
gosh.
day. Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna
When
be
are
great.
you going? When are you going to do that?
Well, we're doing
Friday-
a practice. Yeah, Friday night, we're gonna show some Disney movie out there for the kids, and we'll see how it goes. So Friday after school will be that'll be the real thing.
So pray that there's no wind, so we don't have a big kite on our hands. That's what.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We're gonna brace it. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
If worst comes to worst, we'll just have kids hang on it until the wind dies down, and then it might go parasailing.
We've got plans. We think we know what we're doing. Maybe.
Very good. Oh, thank you so much.
So,
Sounds good.
We'll see
We'll
how
see
it
ya.
all evolves. Thanks.
all righty.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
See everyone.
Bye.